Harry Potter is a franchise that's no stranger to video game adaptations. Ever since 2001, there have been a slew of game releases coinciding with the release of the films and beyond. However, for the most part, these games have focused exclusively on the story of the Harry Potter books rather than the world itself. Hogwarts Legacy finally sets out to right that wrong as an open-world action RPG that doesn't star Harry Potter, and with it releasing shortly, here is everything you need to know about Hogwarts Legacy. Development on Hogwarts Legacy began as far back as at least 2017 by Avalanche Software, and the game is being published by Warner Bros. Games. Avalanche Software used to be owned by Disney, so their prior roster of recent games mostly consists of Disney licenses, such as Disney Infinity. The game's director, Alan Tu, is an industry veteran, whose work goes as far back as working on StarCraft Brood Wars as an artist and designer. Hogwarts Legacy takes place in the late 1800s, prior to the Harry Potter books and films, and back when Phineas Nigellus Black was Headmaster of Hogwarts. Phineas is Sirius Black, Ballatrix Lestrange, and Narcissa Malfoy's great-great-grandfather. Readers of the books might recall that Phineas's portrait would leak information about Harry, Ron, and Hermione to Snape via his portrait at Hogwarts. Phineas is being played by Simon Pegg, and notably, he doesn't care too much about the position of headmaster, but rather took the job purely for the prestige of it. Another professor during this era is actually a Weasley. The character you play as is a late 5th year student who's just now starting at Hogwarts and has to therefore play catch up to the rest. As you're behind, the Ministry of Magic has loaned to you a magical field guide to help you catch up to the other students, which presents you with ways to learn and grow all around you. That said, your character has a unique ability to interact with powerful ancient magic hidden in the wizarding world. You'll need to discover why this ancient magic has returned, who's behind it, and who wants to utilize its power to destroy wizarding kind. There are rumors of a mounting goblin rebellion, and part of your journey will involve you working alongside the accomplished Professor Fig to look into this. These goblins have allied themselves with powerful dark wizards. Combat consists of equipping a number of spells into designated slots and using these in combination with basic shots and other tools at your disposal I'll be outlining later. R2 will shoot out a basic shot, which is basically that zap attack you see a lot in the later Harry Potter films. Meanwhile, holding R2 lets you then choose one of your more advanced spells from the slottable spell diamond using a face button. Notably, you can gain 3 additional spell diamonds throughout the game, which will eventually allow you to have a total of 16 slottable spells you can quickly access during combat by cycling through them with your D-pad. While you can use the basic R2 shot repeatedly, each of the slottable spells has a cooldown period. With the more advanced the spell, the longer the cooldown period before you can use it again. The basic shot does minimal damage, but is still good for juggling enemies to set up combos, and while you're waiting for your major spell's cooldowns to end. When facing other wizards, you won't be the only one who can cast Protego to shield yourself or have the ability to deflect attacks. However, to help with this, colors are handily split into types of spell by color, and when you see a shield around a fellow wizard, it immediately indicates which color or type of spell will break their shield. A halo will appear around the character's head just before an enemy is about to attack. If you see this and it's yellow, you'll be able to deflect the enemy's attack with a specific face button assigned to do this. On a PS5, the default button is triangle. By holding the triangle button in these instances, rather than just deflecting, you'll also counterattack with Stupefy, which you can use towards the enemy who is attacking, or a different enemy you may be in the middle of comboing. That said, there are also going to be unblockable spells, which will indicate on the player via a red halo. Those you'll have to dodge out of the way from. It seems based on the trailers, you'll also get a certain number of iframes during the middle of this roll. Iframes being invincibility frames where for a small portion of time nothing can hurt you. If that is the case, Souls fans rejoice, you'll be well prepped for this. While there are the normal spells Harry Potter fans will likely be very familiar with at this point, there's also special ancient magic spells players will be able to utilize. The way this ancient magic manifests itself depends on the enemy you're fighting, and as they're devastating attacks, there's a special meter you'll have to fill up within combat. This meter fills up through combos, which will also in turn help make enemies drop blue magic the player can run and pick up, which will also refill the ancient magic meter. Beyond magic, players will also be able to brew and equip special tools to help in combat. This could be a rock skin potion that, just like it sounds, covers the player's skin in rocks and reduces damage from enemies while it's active. There's a Wiggenweld potion, which is your standard health restoration potion, or even a focus potion, which increases how quickly your cooldowns wear off. Beyond brewing potions you can equip and add as a tool, you can also add plants to your tool set, such as a Chinese chopping cabbage, which attacks nearby enemies after you release it, or perhaps a venomous tentacula, which when deployed shoots acid at nearby enemies and acts similar to a turret. You can use a mandrake, which will stun enemies after you pull it out. You'll also be able to use the items around you to lift and toss at enemies, which, of course, includes the classic video game exploding barrel. The talent system in the game will also affect your spells in combat. However, so far the details on this are fairly unknown, at least to my knowledge. There are 2 combat arenas within the base game, each of which has you fight off waves of enemies in order to unlock cosmetics for your character. There's also a specific battle arena tied with the Dark Arts pack, the Dark Arts Battle Arena. This arena can be found within the Forbidden Forest. Unfortunately, this arena is tied to a special Dark Arts pack and only comes with the Deluxe or Digital Deluxe editions of the game. Players who purchase the Standard Edition will have to buy the Dark Arts pack separately. Each battle arena has a specific set of spells you're only allowed to equip within the arena and various optional dueling feats you'll want to accomplish. As an example of the spells, the Dark Arts Arena will let you equip and use the 3 Unforgivable Curses. You'll be able to utilize these spells here even if you haven't unlocked them yet in the main game, which might be a good way for a goody-two-shoes Gryffindor, like me, to finally have some fun with the Wizarding World's gun, Avada Kedavra. And speaking of which, for the most part, it sounds like Avada Kedavra will work just like it does in Harry Potter as an instant death spell. The developers showed this in action within the combat arena, and sure enough, instant death to the enemy. Avada Kedavra, as well as the other Unforgivable Curses, are spells players will be able to unlock and add to their repertoire. Within normal combat in the outside world, you'll also be able to use stealth to try and get the upper hand, including the invisibility spell Disillusionment. Enemies will be able to hear sounds and come to investigate them, which is where Disillusionment especially comes in handy. Granted, it's not total invisibility like the invisibility cloak was. Starting from the beginning, the game includes a fairly robust character creator. While there are some initial presets you can choose, from there, the team allows you to go into a little more detail with how your character looks, from facial shape to hair choice, and allows you to choose if you're a witch or wizard. However, I didn't notice any in-depth sliders from what I've seen. If you don't like the choices you've made, you'll be able to change certain elements later on, such as hair color and style at a barbershop type place in Hogsmeade. However, you will be locked into your body and face. It's unclear how you'll be sorted into one of the 4 houses as of yet, but you don't get to choose that during the character creator. The game's HUD contains a spell diamond on the bottom right with slottable spells you'll be able to quickly conjure, a D-pad icon showing your essential spells that are always attached to your controller, such as a reveal or a spell slotting menu, a green bar on the bottom right representing your health with a potion next to it to quickly show how many potions you have, a bar above for your combo meter, a map and a compass on the far left, and next to that on the left, an equipped magical tool and how you access your tool menu. Throughout the school, you'll also be able to use Revelio or other spells to find field guide pages, which is one of the many optional challenges that you'll be accomplishing throughout the game. The Wizard's Field Guide is something given to you early on in the game and is how you work on catching up with the other students, as you're a 5th year student who has, for some reason, just now enrolled at Hogwarts. In fact, the pause menu is your field guide. Some of the various challenges contained within include the aforementioned finding of field guide pages, combat challenges, quests, exploration, and deal with the Room of Requirement. On the topic of the Room of Requirement, it has been transformed into a space for preparing all kinds of things for your journey. You can personalize it to make it feel like your own, and while I'd love to hang Dumbledore Army flyers everywhere, I'm not planning on going into divination, so, probably not something you can add. What you can do, though, is completely change the architecture via magic, such as changing the ceiling from a boring scientific ceiling to a beautiful botanic ceiling. I don't know why you'd ever choose the scientific ceiling, but that's just me. You can also conjure various objects into the space that can make it feel like home, like rugs, statues, ornaments, or furniture. These conjurations can be obtained by purchasing conjuration recipes from Hogsmeade or from various quests in the game. More importantly, from a gameplay perspective, you can also conjure planting pots and potion stations where you can grow plants and brew your potions. This is where you'd bring your gear, and by bringing it to a loom in the Room of Requirement, you can add a certain number of traits to your gear based on traits that you've collected and how many trait slots that gear has. These traits consist of things like Protego Shielding, which decreases damage you take from dark wizards, or Goblin Silver Resistance, which, on the other hand, decreases damage you take from goblins. For those of you focused on Fashion Potter, you'll be able to change the look of the gear you collect to look like other gear, so if you collect something super powerful but hate the way it looks, no worries, you can go ahead and apply another look to it. You'll also not necessarily know what the gear you collect does immediately upon getting it, and there's an identification station inside the Room of Requirement for finding out, which is one of the first things you'll be unlocking. Additionally, the Room of Requirement has a vivarium, which has a massive space on the inside, a la Newt Scamander's suitcase, filled with magical beasts. From here, you can take care of the various beasts you rescue from poachers or other situations, and presumably collect. By petting them, playing with them with a collection of toys, and feeding them, in return, you'll receive magical ingredients from them which you can use on your gear. You can also conjure and personalize the vivarium to make the perfect home for your beasts and name the various beasts. Within Hogwarts, you'll be sorted into either Gryffindor, Slytherin, Ravenclaw, or Hufflepuff, and have access to your dormitory, including the never-before-seen visually Hufflepuff dorm. All of these have their own unique common room music for each house. You'll be able to find fast travel points as the school is so massive. The house hourglasses for school points are, of course, also present here. Notably, these house points aren't a gameplay mechanic of the game, but instead related to the story. There are several quests you can stumble across, and some of these can be given by fellow students, which sometimes come across as gossip that you'll want to look into, or perhaps even from teachers. There's also a dueling club in the clock tower called Crossed Wands, run by Lucan Brattleby. Here you can practice your combat on a dummy or duel against other students, sometimes even multiple students at once. Some of the schoolmates you encounter can become companions who can accompany you on your journey in various quests. This is a minor detail, but something I personally appreciate is that Peeves the Poltergeist will also be in the game. Perhaps one of the biggest questions is how classes will work. While there is a day-night cycle, that doesn't seem to relate to classes. Classes are instead a part of the main narrative, and you'll be learning most of your major spells and abilities through these. That said, there are also side classroom missions where you can learn additional spells, get things you might need for outside quests, or get to know the professors better. There are talents and abilities you'll unlock and be able to upgrade as you progress throughout the game with talent points. These can be gained by completing quests and objectives and gaining experience. Leveling up talents lets you upgrade your spells, plants, and potions to increase their power. It's unclear how many of these you'll get per playthrough, so at least from the start, you'll want to focus on leveling up ones that suit your playstyle. Outside of Hogwarts, at a certain point, the world beyond will open up to you, and at that moment, you're free to traverse anywhere you like. Flying in the game is possible via various mounts from the Harry Potter world, and of course, brooms. One of these mounts will be hippogriffs, which you can store inside of your bag and pull out as you will. The hippogriffs act similar to a horse when on the ground, but they can, of course, also fly. Another mount you can get is a Thestral, which comes as part of the Dark Arts pack. From what I can tell, Thestrals seem to act just like hippogriffs. That said, with both of these, at the moment, we're not sure if these are exclusive with the Deluxe Edition or Dark Arts pack or any of those, but I kind of guess you can probably get them through unlocks at some point in the game, but we just don't know. As far as brooms go, it seems you can fly your broom just about anywhere, at least outside. However, as the game takes place in the past, broom technology isn't quite all there yet, and you have a broom turbo meter which affects your speed. Without upgrades, you can only use this closer to the ground without it draining. Like in the books and films, Hogsmeade has a shop that sells a variety of brooms, and players will be able to customize both the aesthetics of their broom as well as purchase upgrades to it. As far as traversal goes, you'll also be able to swim in the water. However, it's unclear as of yet if you'll ever be able to actually dive underneath through some development later in the game or as part of some quest. While Hogsmeade is, of course, the most established all-wizarding village in Britain, as it's the only one, and you can visit it, the team wanted to make sure exploring the UK wasn't super barren, so they sprinkled various hamlets throughout the Scottish countryside that wizards might live in. As various wizards live in these hamlets, they help expand the story and can also offer quests to the player. The hamlets will also have vendors, puzzles, and various secrets throughout. The game includes a day-night cycle with elements of both the open world and school itself changing, from fewer characters outside at night or the school itself dying down in the evening, and various items restricted by this cycle. As you progress through the game and the time of year changes, so too does the weather to match this. So in winter, you'll see the same vibrant grassy fields covered in snow. This won't only affect the outer world, but also the inside of Hogwarts as well, and same with Hogsmeade. So hopefully that means you can have your very own cozy inside Hogwarts moment during Christmas. Unfortunately, it's impossible to do this sort of video without mentioning the controversy over Hogwarts Legacy, so here's a summary. J.K. Rowling, creator of Harry Potter, has been tweeting remarks viewed as transphobic for the past couple of years. As such, there's a strong sentiment among the trans community that supporting the game is supporting J.K. Rowling and her views on trans people. It's also worth noting that the development team on the game began creating the game prior to these remarks and are also totally divorced from it. However, J.K. Rowling, while having no creative involvement on the game, will be benefiting from the success of the game. This is a complicated issue, and we have an article reconciling a desire to play Hogwarts Legacy with J.K. Rowling's actions, written by our very own Jesse Earl on GameSpot.com, which you can read for further insight. Hogwarts Legacy releases on PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X/S, and PC on February 10, 2023. It'll also be releasing to Nintendo Switch, according to Amazon, on July 25th, 2023. The deluxe edition of the game comes with the Dark Arts Pack, which includes a Thestral mount, the Dark Arts cosmetic set, and Dark Arts Battle Arena. For pre-ordering either edition of the game, you'll get the Onyx Hippogriff. Exclusive content is available with both editions on PlayStation, offering you the Haunted Hogsmeade Shop quest, and for pre-ordering on a PlayStation, you'll also get the Felix Felicius Potion recipe. Finally, purchasing the Deluxe Edition on a current-gen console of PS5, Xbox Series X/S, or PC will get you 72 hours early access to playing the game. Hogwarts Legacy is the game I always dreamed of playing back when I was reading the books as a kid. Are you looking forward to it, cautiously optimistic, or unsure of how you think it will turn out? Let us know in the comments below, and I'll see you guys next time.